Monday, March 23rd, 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for the first edition of our 6 p.m. news this week over Camdis Television. Let's begin right away with our headlines. A proposed legislative adjustment currently underway review at the National Assembly could reshape the political calendar and influence the balance of power in the months ahead. According to observers, the move carries significant implications for governance, electoral preparations, and the broader democratic process. As the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement (CPDM) marks 41 years of its political history, reflections are turning towards the legacy, influence, and future direction of the ruling party. The anniversary offers an opportunity for supporters and observers alike to assess its journey and role in shaping the country's governance and public life. These stories and more will be yours in a bit. Thanks once more for joining us. We begin with one of our lead stories where the Committee on Constitutional Laws of the National Assembly has examined the bill to extend the term of office of the members of the National Assembly from March 31st to December 2026. This bill, if passed to law, will give the members of the National Assembly more time at the Paul Biya's Glass House. But what does this mean in the political landscape? Promise Akente tries to answer this question in the following report.
The term of office of the members of parliament normally expires on March 30, 2026, in accordance with the extension law promulgated on July 24, 2024. The March 2026 session will therefore have lasted just 20 days. According to Article 16 of the Constitution, the election of the new members of parliament will take place at least 40 days and at most 120 days after March 30. However, since the electorate must be convened 90 days before the dates of the next elections, as this is a legal obligation, the 120-day dead limit was more and more plausible after March 30, given that the 40-day minimum would have encroached upon the 90-day period. It was therefore without surprise when the members of the Constitutional Law Committee deliberated upon and accepted Bill number 2092/PJL/AN to extend the term of office of members of the National Assembly from March 31 to December 20, 2026. Going by the explanatory statement, the bill was prepared pursuant to Article 15 Sub 4 of Law number 96/06 of 16 January 1996 to amend the Constitution of 2nd June 1972, which stipulates that in case of serious crisis or where circumstances so warrant, the President of the Republic may, after consultation with the President of the Constitutional Council and Bureau of the National Assembly and the Senate, request the National Assembly to decide by law to extend or abridge its term of office. The statement further indicates that this extension aims, on the one hand, to alleviate the financial burden of the elections on the state budget during these challenging economic times. This is particularly relevant following the elections of the President of the Republic and the regional councillors, which required substantial resources to cater for the financial, material, and security aspects of the said polls. On the other hand, the additional time will enable the body responsible for the practical organization of elections to make the necessary adjustments for a hitch-free organization of the polls. It was therefore in accordance with the above-mentioned Article 15 Sub 4 and the required consultations having been conducted that the bill was tabled and accepted. The mandate of the members of the National Assembly is thus extended to December 20, 2026, which makes organization easier. If the electorate were to be convened on March 30, 2026, for exactly 90 days later or even more, the election will have taken place starting at the end of June. As a consequence, the June parliamentary session will not have held, since the current term of the members of parliament will have ended 90 days earlier on March 30. Given this, Cameroon could not afford to bypass a parliamentary session mandated by the Constitution. Therefore, an extension of the member's term has been seen as a welcomed move to respect the constitutional provisions. And to be more complete on terms of office, there is the question of the term of office of municipal councillors, which must also take place before May 30, 2026, the deadline set by the Extension Decree of July 24, 2024. It is worth recalling that the term of office for municipal councillors can still be extended by 3 months. The legal limit is 18 months, and on July 24, 2024, it was extended by 15 months. It is also worth remembering that the election of municipal councillors must take place 40 days before the end of the term, and the electorate must be convened 90 days before that date. Let's wait and see.
Still in connection to that story, the bill in question number 292/PJL/AN seeks to extend the term of office of members of the National Assembly from March 31st, 2026 to December 20th, 2026. Let's get the significance of this development in the following report by Bertrand Tita.
Cameroon's National Assembly has voted to extend the term of office for deputies to December 20, 2026, citing financial and organizational constraints. This decision, approved by lawmakers on March 23, 2026, is the latest in the series of extensions, with the previous one being in July 2024, which pushed the deadline to March 30, 2026. The government argues that this extension would alleviate the financial burden on the state budget, especially after the presidential and regional council elections. The deputies welcomed the bill, believing it will allow the government to take all necessary measures to organize transparent, credible, and peaceful elections. He highlighted the importance of material, financial, and security preparedness to guarantee the success of these elections. It will also give Elections Cameroon (ELECAM) time to prepare for future elections. However, opposition parties fear this move will complicate their ability to contest next year's election. This isn't the first time Cameroon has extended the term of its deputies. Similar prolongation occurred in 2018 and 2019, citing security and logistical concerns. Critics argue that such moves undermine democratic processes and limit opportunities for opposition voices. Legislative and municipal elections now likely to take place in March 2027. Opposition parties fear this move will consolidate President Paul Biya's power. Meanwhile, critics argue that extension undermines democratic process. The extension is justified by the need to lighten the electoral calendar, according to Francois Wakata Bolvin, Minister Delegate to the Presidency of the Republic in charge of relations with the Parliament. The country had initially planned 4 elections for 2025, including the presidential election, legislative election, municipal election, and regional council elections.
Tomorrow, Tuesday, March 24, 2026, the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM, will celebrate a significant milestone: 41 years of steadfast commitment to national unity, peace, and development. Since its inception in 1985, the party has been at the helm of Cameroon's political landscape, guiding the nation towards stability and progress. Bertrand Tita tells us more.
The CPDM's journey began with a transformative change in 1985 when the Cameroon National Union (CNU) Congress in Bamenda marked a new era for the party. It was here that Paul Biya, the national president, declared Bamenda his second home, setting the tone for the party's enduring legacy.
I'm one of those people who transited from the CNU to the CPDM. And don't forget that this change came in just less than 3 years after President Paul Biya became head of state. And before the Congress in Bamenda, the Congress of the New Deal, he was elected head of the party in Bafoussam.
As the party commemorates the achievement, It pays tribute to President Biya's visionary leadership and unwavering dedication to Cameroon.
For his time as head of state, and his vision was brought out in the Congress of the New Deal. This was democratizing our political landscape.
Under his guidance, the CPDM has become synonymous with national cohesion and responsible governance. The party's recent victory in the 2025 presidential election is a testament to the truth the Cameroonian people have in President Biya's leadership and the CPDM's political project.
National integration and national unity, development, social justice. And you see, he had a program to follow. And he wanted this party to be the vehicle to carry forth his political ideology.
However, the party leadership emphasizes that this is not a time for complacency. As the national landscape evolves, the CPDM must adapt and innovate to remain a dominant force. The Secretary General, Jean Koité, urges party structure to engage in forward-thinking consultations, strengthen grassroots presence, and prepare for upcoming electoral deadlines. With majority in the Senate and regional councils already secured, the CPDM sets its sights on achieving decisive victories in the National Assembly and municipal councils.
As for 41 years, the CPDM has grown to be a very strong party, well-rooted, because the structure of the CPDM, which was actually borrowed also from the CNU, comes right from the grassroots.
As the CPDM celebrates its 41st anniversary, it remains committed to its core values of national unity, peace and development. With President Biya at the helm, the party is poised to continue shaping Cameroon's future.
Let's now talk health in this newscast, where as Cameroon prepares to celebrate the 33rd edition of World Tuberculosis Day on March 24, 2026, the Minister of Public Health has presented the situation of tuberculosis in the country. Dr. Manawuda Malachi also used the press statement to put forward efforts made by Cameroon to end tuberculosis. Mado Shekwati and Promise Akante.
World Tuberculosis Day is commemorated each year on March 24 to raise awareness about the devastating health, social and economic consequences of tuberculosis and to step up efforts to end the global TB epidemic. Some of the signs and symptoms of tuberculosis include cough, fever, weight loss and night sweats. Talking to the press this Thursday, March 19, the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manawuda Malachi, laid emphasis on equitable access to diagnosis and treatment.
To ensure quality screening with globally acceptable deadlines between diagnosis and treatment, thus contributing to improving national indicators and increasing equitable access to the services.
The theme of World Tuberculosis Day 2026 is Yes, We Can End TB, led by countries, powered by communities. This theme reaffirms the global commitment to eliminating tuberculosis, highlighting the need for strong national leadership, increased funding, accelerated innovation, and empowered community-driven care to stop the spread of this deadly disease. Despite efforts made by the government, families still have to bear certain costs linked to tuberculosis.
Diagnosis and treatment are free of charge. Households still bear a significant indirect costs related to transport, nutrition, and loss of income, thus hampering treatment adherence and the target to eliminate catastrophic costs.
26,924 cases of all forms of tuberculosis were reported in Cameroon in 2025. This figure may not truly represent the reality of the disease, considering the underreporting of tuberculosis decried by Minister Manawuda Malachi.
The underreporting of cases remain a concern, with an important number of affected people missed out to the health system, the intensification of active case finding, systematic contact tracing, and increased involvement of the private sector is required. Additional efforts are needed to reduce diagnosis deadlines, ensure equipment maintenance, ensure continuous availability of consumables, notably expert tests, and establish a performing system for specimen transportation.
That notwithstanding, the country continues to align its response to the global strategy.
Cameroon has aligned its response on the end-TB strategy through the 2024-2026 National Strategic Plan, implemented by the National Tuberculosis Control Programs under the coordination of the Ministry of Public Health.
Whilst globally more than 4,000 people die every day from this disease and nearly 30,000 new cases are recorded daily worldwide according to WHO's 2025 report, the incidence rate of the disease in our country is estimated at 132 new cases per 100,000 inhabitants, or approximately 36,466 expected cases. The mortality rate, meanwhile, is estimated at 17 deaths per 100,000 inhabitants. Media professionals were therefore called upon to play a key role in disseminating reliable information and raising public awareness. And if you're just joining us, it is the 6 p.m. news over Kamdis television. Let's now take you beyond our borders to get updates of what make news. First up will be in Kenya, where authorities in Kenya have reported that torrential rains and flash floods have killed at least 81 people across the country this month. In Kisumu County, the entire villages have been submerged with about 1,200 hectares of farmlands destroyed and crops swept away. Second stop will be in Mali and then Libya. These stories are compiled in the following report by Sharon Aratine.
Torrential rains and flash floods have killed at least 81 people across Kenya this month, authorities said, as heavy downpours continue. In Kisumu County, entire villages have been submerged with about 1,200 hectares of farmland destroyed and crops swept away. The worst hit area is Yakash, where more than 3,000 families have been displaced after the Sondu Miriam River overflowed. Residents have been moved to more than 8 evacuation centers. Flood victims say they have nowhere to go. In Nairobi, the death toll stands at 37, with floods damaging homes and infrastructure. Authorities also reported deaths in Kiambu and landslide in Kisaka. More than 100 suspected jihadis have been freed in Mali under a deal to halt attacks on fuel convoys that had paralyzed the capital. Bamako officials and security sources told AFP on Sunday. Since September, the Al-Qaeda affiliated group for the support of Islam and Muslims had repeatedly targeted tanker convoys, causing acute fuel shortages. A local elected official confirmed the release of more than 100 jihadis in exchange for the opening of a corridor to allow convoys of tankers, lorries to pass through. A damaged Russian tanker abandoned in the Mediterranean Sea will be towed to a Libyan port, Libyan authorities have announced. The Arctic Metagas is part of Russia's so-called shadow fleet, transporting fossil fuels in violation of international sanctions. The tanker was carrying liquefied natural gas to Egypt when it was hit by a series of explosions earlier this month. All 30 crew members were rescued.
And it is with that news out of the country, ladies and gentlemen, that we set the curtains to this edition of our 6 p.m. news over Kamdis television. It was a pleasure staying with you. Do enjoy the rest of the evening in the company of interesting programs over the Republican channel. Thanks for watching.